big smile out of you. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or
still to be happy about?
You're up 2-0.
The job's not finished.
Welcome back, folks. Chase Valenzuela here with Bowl 101, coming at you from inside Millennium Bowl today for a review of the brand new Storm Phase 2 Pearl. Now, you may be wondering how this is the Phase 2 Pearl. It's being marketed as the first Phase 2 Pearl when, in fact, we've had the Pearl cover on this core before, or a Pearl cover on this core before. We've had the Phase 4 and the Phase 5 that both featured R2S Pearl, a much weaker formula than TX25, which is featured on this Phase 2 Pearl. And we've had the Phaze AI, which featured an updated cover stock, but had the AI core technology, which drastically changed the hook shape, at least for me. So what we're going to do today is throw this brand new Phase 2 Pearl up against some of my favorite Pearl symmetrical balls in the line, and we're going to see how it stacks up. First up, we have this ball's most recent predecessor, the Phaze AI, and this does feature an updated, stronger formula cover stock than what was on the Phase 4 and Phase 5, but the Phaze AI obviously features AI core technology where the Phase 2 Pearl does not. What does that mean in terms of on-lane performance? Well, the Phaze AI for me was a little quicker, a little stoppier, a little more forward down lane, and this allowed me to use it in front of me and play a little shallower angles and use kind of that hook stop or hockey stick motion a little bit more in front of me, or be able to create length and not necessarily have a ton of sideways hook, where the Phase 2 Pearl is much more rounded and continuous and hooks a lot more. Overall, I really could use these two balls off of one another. I could start in the Phaze AI because it's a little more forward. I could trap it a little bit more easily, and then if that started to not carry, or I had to get across it too much, or I started to see a little bit of over-under, I could go into the Phase 2 Pearl and be able to get it across the puddle and kind of bring it in off the corner a little bit more as well. Next, we're going to see how this ball stacks up to the Rockstar Amped, and this is one that I've actually liked and gotten to use a little bit. It does roll a little heavier or a little more tumbly than your average Pearl symmetrical ball, and compared to the Phase 2 Pearl, it's a little bit more rounded, a little slower response, so I've been able to use it on friction whenever I need something a little more controllable. The Phase 2 Pearl feels a little more continuous, a little more angular, where the Rockstar Amped is a little more rounded and smooth overall. I do have these two pretty similar in terms of cover stock strength, in terms of generally where I would use them in the bag, which would be maybe a 1 ball on a little bit of friction, certainly a 2 ball in transition as the lane started to open up. But if I were to nitpick, I would read those shapes as quite a bit different, although hook potential is relatively similar. The last ball we're going to look at is the Ember from 900 Global, and this ball, unlike everything else, is actually single density, everything else featured in the video today, that is, and what that means is there is no flip block on this Ember core. So generally for me, I like to draw those pinned down. I like to use those more in front of me or on fresh conditions. Those single density balls tend not to flip and kick the corners out correctly for me as I try to open the lane up. The Ember actually does, sort of within reason. It runs out of room whenever I'm trying to cross a bunch of boards pretty quickly, where the Phase 2 Pearl does not do that. I've thrown it live fire and been able to really get across the lane and really open up my angles, and the Ember is not so capable. It does create a big move on the back part of the lane, but it's got to be with relatively shallow angles, where the Phase 2 Pearl does not feel like it has quite as many limitations. You can pick your Phase 2 Pearl up at your local Storm VIP Pro Shop, or come see me at Bowl 101. It is out now. As always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Go!